The $14 million betrayal that has Tyler Perry walking away, the divorce lawyers circling like sharks, and the palace finally making its move on the chessboard. Tyler Perry, the media mogul who acted as the ultimate safety net for Harry and Meghan, the man who is the godfather to their daughter Lilibet, has allegedly severed ties with the couple. But he hasn't just walked away quietly. Reports are exploding that he has demanded the repayment of a secret $14 million debt, a financial crater that threatens to swallow what is left of the Sussex brand. Welcome back to the channel. We have a lot to get through today because the dam has finally broken. For years we have watched the maneuvering, the PR spins, and the endless deflection. But when money is involved, the truth always comes out. And today the truth comes with a very steep price tag. You all know the history here. When Harry and Meghan made their dramatic exit from the royal family, claiming they were being cut off and left vulnerable, it was Tyler Perry who stepped in. He was the knight in shining armor. He didn't just offer them a shoulder to cry on. He offered them an $18 million mansion in Beverly Ridge. He provided them with private security details when they claimed the palace stripped them of protection. He even let them use his private planes. At the time, it was painted as this beautiful, organic friendship, a billionaire reaching out to a persecuted young couple. He was their biggest champion in Hollywood. Remember how vocal he was? He went on record defending them, claiming they were misunderstood, claiming their love was something the world just wasn't ready for. He bought the narrative hook, line, and sinker. But here we are in February 2026, and the tone has shifted drastically. The latest reports coming out of the tabloids, specifically from sources like The Globe and Radar Online, are painting a picture of a relationship that has completely disintegrated. And the reason is as old as time: money. It turns out that generosity wasn't an endless pit. According to these insiders, there is an outstanding secret debt of $14 million that the Sussexes supposedly owe to Perry, and he has decided that enough is enough. He wants to be paid back. Now, you have to ask yourself, how do you rack up a $14 million tab with a friend? Well, when you look at how they have been living, it's not actually that hard to figure out. We are talking about years of high-end security costs, travel, and perhaps loans to cover lifestyle expenses that their actual income couldn't support. We have known for a long time that the math regarding their finances didn't add up. The deals with Spotify collapsed. The Netflix arrangement has been rocky at best, and their overheads are astronomical. It seems Tyler Perry was the buffer. He was the credit card they kept swiping, thinking the bill would never come due. The insider chatter suggests that Perry feels used. It's a terrible feeling to realize that your friendship was transactional, but that seems to be the realization he has come to. Sources close to the situation are saying that Tyler feels like he was treated less like a godfather and friend and more like a personal ATM. He looked at the situation, the constant legal battles, the PR disasters, the inability to launch successful long-term business ventures, and realized that this wasn't a temporary rough patch. This is who they are. They bleed money, and he isn't willing to bankroll a sinking ship anymore. It is absolutely fascinating to see this shift because Tyler Perry is known in the industry for being incredibly generous and loyal. For him to turn around and reportedly demand repayment, for him to cut them off, something significant must have happened behind the scenes. It implies a level of disrespect or entitlement that finally broke the camel's back. You don't ask a friend for $14 million back unless you are ready to end the friendship. That is a bridge-burning move. It signals that he doesn't care if they never speak again. He just wants his assets recovered. And let's talk about the reaction from Montecito. How do you think our Duchess is handling this? If history is any guide, not well. The word is that she is furious. There is likely a sense of shock that he would actually dare to ask for the money. You know the mindset. There is this perpetual victimhood, this idea that the world owes them reparations for their suffering. In her mind, Tyler's support probably wasn't a loan. It was tribute. It was what she was owed for gracing him with her friendship. The audacity of him to treat this as a business transaction must be driving her up the wall. We see this pattern constantly. As soon as someone stops serving a purpose or challenges the narrative, they are villainized. I wouldn't be surprised if we soon start seeing anonymous sources leaking stories about how Tyler was actually controlling or unsupportive. That is the playbook, gaslight the benefactor until they look like the bad guy. But this isn't just about losing a friend. This is a massive signal to the rest of Hollywood. Tyler Perry was the gatekeeper. His endorsement told the rest of the A-list, these two are okay. They are with me. Losing him is catastrophic. It's like the final seal of disapproval. If the man who gave them a home and protection is walking away and demanding cash, it tells every other studio executive, producer, and potential investor that the Sussexes are a bad bet. They are a financial liability. It confirms the whispers that have been circulating for years, that they are high maintenance, low return, and incredibly difficult to deal with. Think about the timing, too. February 2026. We are years into this freedom flight, and what do they have to show for it? They don't have an empire. They have a mountain of debt and a shrinking circle of allies. Losing Tyler Perry is arguably worse than losing their Spotify deal. You can find another platform for a podcast, maybe, but you cannot easily replace a billionaire ally who provided the kind of infrastructure they need to survive as royals in America. Without his protection, without his private network, they are exposed. And clearly, they don't have the liquid cash to cover a $14 million demand, or this wouldn't be a story. They would have just written a check to make it go away. The fact that this has leaked to the press suggests a standoff. They likely can't pay him, or they simply refuse to. This financial scandal feeds directly into the bankruptcy rumors that have been simmering. You can't maintain a castle, a staff, security, and a global PR team on good intentions. You need hard currency. If they are burning bridges with the people who hold their debt, it smells like desperation. It feels like the walls are closing in. We have seen them try to reinvent themselves a dozen times. Lifestyle brands, cooking shows, documentaries, but nothing sticks. And while they were failing to generate steady revenue, they were living like they had the keys to the Bank of England. It's tragic in a way, but also entirely predictable. You cannot build a life on the foundation of discarding family and friends. Eventually, you run out of people to use. Tyler Perry was the last major pillar supporting their American dream. With him gone, and worse, with him potentially taking legal action or simply publicizing this debt, their reputation in the industry is shattered. Who is going to lend them money now? Who is going to partner with them? They are radioactive. And let's be honest, the timing of this financial blow-up is suspicious. Why now? Why is Tyler calling in the debt in early 2026? Perhaps he sees the writing on the wall. Perhaps he knows what we are about to discuss next, that the marriage itself is on shaky ground. If you're a creditor and you see a divorce looming, you want to get your money out before the assets are frozen or split up. You want to be first in line. Tyler isn't stupid. He didn't get to be a mogul by letting his heart rule his wallet forever. He likely sees the ship sinking and is scrambling to get his cargo off before it goes under. This secret debt narrative completely undermines their public image of success. They love to project this aura of thriving, of being unbothered, wealthy humanitarians. But people with $14 million in disposable income don't get into fights with their godfathers over money. This story pulls back the curtain and reveals the chaos backstage. It validates everything the critics have been saying. The emperor has no clothes, and the duchess has no cash. As we digest this information, it's important to remember the human element. Tyler Perry really did step up for them. He put his reputation on the line. To see it end like this, with lawyers and leaks, is a testament to the toxic wake that seems to follow the Sussexes wherever they go. It's a pattern of behavior: use, discard, repeat. But this time, they might have picked the wrong person to cross. Tyler Perry has influence, he has media power, and he has the respect of the industry, three things Harry and Meghan are rapidly losing. This financial crisis is the catalyst. It's the stressor that cracks the foundation. And as we know, when money goes out the door, love often flies out the window. This isn't just about a loan. It's about the collapse of the illusion they built their new lives on. And if the money is gone and the friends are gone, what is left? This brings us to the even darker side of the story. The money is just the symptom. The disease is the relationship itself. With the financial pressure mounting and their biggest ally turning into a creditor, the pressure inside that Montecito house must be unbearable. And that leads us directly into the whispers that have been growing louder and louder from across the pond. The palace knows, the king knows, and they are preparing for the end game. Now, we have to pivot to the elephant in the room, because you simply cannot have a conversation about a massive financial betrayal, a $14 million crater in the bank account, without talking about the catastrophic impact it has on a marriage. We all know the old saying, don't we? When poverty, or even just the threat of it, walks in the front door, love has a nasty habit of flying out the window. And while poverty might seem like a strong word for two people living in a Montecito palace with 16 bathrooms, the reality of their cash flow crisis is hitting them harder than we can imagine. The breakdown with Tyler Perry is not just a business transaction gone wrong. It is the first major domino in what looks like the inevitable slow-motion collapse of the entire Sussex house of cards. You have to wonder, really wonder, what the atmosphere is like inside that Olive Garden mansion right now. If they are scrambling to find millions of dollars to pay back a debt to the man who is the godfather of their daughter, the tension must be absolutely suffocating. We are not talking about a little lover's spat over who forgot to take out the recycling. We are talking about the kind of bone-deep stress that destroys families. There have been whispers for months, growing louder by the day, that Harry and Meghan are effectively living separate lives under the same roof. It is the classic Hollywood arrangement before the storm hits. He is in one wing, she is in the other, and they only meet for photo ops. We are seeing Harry traveling solo more often, looking increasingly disheveled, lost, and frankly unhappy. Meanwhile, she is out there trying to maintain that frozen, camera-ready rictus grin, pretending that everything is just perfect. But behind closed doors, insiders are painting a picture of absolute chaos. When you remove the billionaire safety net, when the free private jets stop coming, and when the security detail bills start piling up on the kitchen counter, the romance dies very quickly. The fairy tale dissolves into a pile of unpaid invoices. We are hearing reports that the arguments are constant and they are vicious. The blame game has started, and it is ugly. Think about the dynamic here. He likely blames her for isolating him from his family, for convincing him that Hollywood would embrace them with open arms, and for putting them in this vulnerable position where they have to beg friends for money. He gave up everything, his regiment, his patronage, his friends, his country, for a promise of billion-dollar brand status that never materialized. On the flip side, she likely blames him. She probably looks at him and wonders why he doesn't have the backbone to demand more cash from his father, the king. In her mind, she married a prince, and princes are supposed to come with unlimited funds. She is likely furious that he isn't the Hollywood power player she thought she was marrying. It is a toxic feedback loop. You can see it in their body language when they are forced to be together. The famous claw is gone. That constant performative hand-holding, the back-rubbing, the clinging that made us all roll our eyes for years, it has vanished. Now they look like two business partners whose startup is failing, and they are trying to figure out how to exit the contract without losing their shirts. And do not think for a second, not for one single second, that Buckingham Palace is just sitting there watching this unfold on the news without a plan. They have been waiting for this moment. This is exactly what the experienced courtiers, the men in gray suits, predicted would happen 5 years ago. They knew the money would run out. They knew the Hollywood friends were fair weather and would get tired of the drama. They knew that without the structure of the royal institution, Harry would struggle. And now that it is happening, the palace is reportedly ready to make its move. The talk of a secret plan for divorce isn't just idle gossip anymore. It is becoming a substantial rumor in London legal circles. We are talking about high-level strategy meetings. Legal experts are buzzing about the fact that King Charles would never leave his son completely out in the cold, no matter how much pain Harry has caused, no matter how many books he writes. He is still his son. But the condition for his return is non-negotiable, a complete separation from the source of the drama. The King's team is likely preparing a lifeboat, but Harry has to be the one to jump into it alone. The real battle, the one that is going to be uglier than anything we have seen so far, is over the children. Archie and Lilibet are the sticking point. This is where it gets incredibly dark. Meghan knows that those children are her connection to the monarchy. They are her currency, her leverage for the rest of her life. Without them, she is just a former actress with a defunct blog. She is not going to let them go without a fight that would make the War of the Roses look like a tea party. She will want them in California, close to Hollywood, being raised in her image. However, the palace has resources that Meghan does not. If this debt story with Tyler Perry is true, and it certainly looks like it is, it proves that the Sussex household is financially unstable. That is a massive point in a potential custody battle. If they cannot afford their security, if they are drowning in debt to former friends, if they are moving from couch to couch or relying on the kindness of strangers, how can they provide a stable environment for royal children? The king's lawyers could theoretically argue that the children are better off in the UK, within the safety of the royal protection, away from the paparazzi circus and the financial uncertainty of their parents' crumbling American dream. It is a terrifying prospect for any mother, but she has played her hand so aggressively, alienating everyone who could have helped her, that she has backed herself into a corner. And speaking of alienation, it is worth noting who isn't there anymore, which puts even more pressure on the marriage. Isolation destroys relationships, and they are more isolated than ever. It is not just Tyler Perry. Look at the list of people who attended that wedding. It was a who's who of Hollywood royalty. George and Amal Clooney, gone. They haven't been seen with the Sussexes in years. Oprah, She's been very quiet lately, hasn't she? No more explosive interviews, no more cozy book club endorsements. Even the Obamas distanced themselves a long time ago. These are smart, successful people who protect their brands fiercely. They saw the toxicity. They saw the inability to tell the truth. They saw the constant victimhood, and they all slowly backed away. Tyler Perry was the holdout. He was the one who bought the us against the world narrative the longest. He was the one who provided the actual roof over their heads when they first landed. But everyone has a breaking point, and $14 million is a pretty definitive one. When you lose the people who validate your status, when the A-list stops returning your calls, you turn on each other. The echo chamber gets smaller and smaller until all you hear is your own screaming. By 2026, their business ventures have essentially evaporated, adding to the marital strain. Remember the fanfare around American Riviera Orchard? The jams, the dog biscuits, the lifestyle empire that was supposed to rival Martha Stewart? It's a footnote now, a joke in the industry. The Netflix deal has been a series of embarrassments and cancellations. The podcasting empire never happened because it turns out you actually have to do the work, not just sign the contract. They have proven that without the working royal platform, they simply do not have the talent or the work ethic to sustain a global media brand. They are famous for being famous, and that only pays the bills for so long. Now they are famous for owing money and burning bridges. It is a humiliating fall from grace for a couple that thought they were going to modernize the monarchy and conquer Hollywood simultaneously. Meghan, who prides herself on her image as a savvy businesswoman, must be seething. Her brand is toxic, and she is tethered to a prince who has nothing left to offer but a title that is losing its shine every day. And you have to look at Harry. Just look at him. This is a man who was once the most popular royal. He was a war hero. He was the fun prince, the one everyone wanted to have a beer with. Now he looks like a shell. The psychological toll of this must be immense. He gave up his country, his military titles, his friends, and his relationship with his brother for this life. And what is this life? It is begging for rides on private jets and getting sued by the press. It is sitting in a mansion he can't afford, listening to lawyers tell him he's broke. The regret must be eating him alive. He is trapped in a golden cage that isn't even golden anymore. It is mortgaged to the hilt. I suspect Harry misses his old life more than he would ever dare to admit. He misses the structure. He misses the camaraderie of the army. He misses the simplicity of just being told what to do and where to go. Now he has to navigate the sharks of Hollywood with no armor, and he is getting eaten alive. The palace knows he is vulnerable. That is why the extraction plan is being whispered about. They know he needs a lifeboat, but the question remains, will he take it? Or will his pride keep him anchored to a sinking ship? Will he admit he made a mistake, or will he double down until there is nothing left? The divorce seems inevitable, not just because of the money, but because the fundamental promise of their union, that they would conquer the world together, has been broken. They didn't conquer the world. They alienated it. The us against the world mentality only works when you are winning. When you are losing and when the bills are coming due, us falls apart very quickly. The resentment builds up. Every time a card is declined, every time a friend stops calling, every time a negative headline runs, it adds a brick to the wall between them. So as we watch this $14 million scandal unfold, remember that it is not just about a check. It is the epitaph for the Sussex experiment. It proves that you cannot build a life on grievance. You cannot build a fortune on trashing your family. And you certainly cannot keep friends if you treat them like bank accounts. The freedom they chase so desperately has turned into a prison of their own making. They wanted to be financially independent. Well, now they are. And it turns out financial independence is really hard when you don't have any talent to sell. The silence from Montecito is deafening right now, but the noise from the rest of the world is getting louder. The allies are gone. The money is gone. And soon the marriage will likely be gone too. It is a tragedy, really, but one that we all saw coming. The only question left is, when the dust settles, who will be left standing in the rubble? Will Harry make it back to London alone, or will he go down with the ship? We will have to wait and see, but if Tyler Perry is asking for his money back, I wouldn't bet on a happy ending.